Hello, welcome to this short lecture on the technical infrastructure of mobile applications in healthcare. My name is Daniel, and I will take you through a couple of slides concerning this topic. First of all, do you remember that we previously talked about the basic requirements of using mobile applications in relation to our clinical practice? We talked about the hardware and the software. The hardware being the mobile phone and the software being the actual application, and how we have to make sure that our patient's mobile phone is compatible with application software for it to bring value to the clinical practice where you meet your patients. Moving on, there are more basic requirements that we need to be aware of. Here you see a slide, there's two mobile phone. One emphasizes that the mobile phone is compatible and the other emphasizes that it's not. So another basic requirement that we need to be aware of is whether or not the mobile phone is able to access the Wi-Fi network. What is Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi is radio waves in the air which provides a fast, high-speed internet connection to our mobile phones. This is essential, of course, because software in the form of applications rely on a Wi-Fi connection. And we also have to make sure that our patients' mobile phones can use the Wi-Fi network to collect data and to access the application software. Now, I would like to once again emphasize the importance of considering who your patient is. People are different, they have different backgrounds, and when you introduce technology into your clinical practice, it is your responsibility to make sure that it brings value to your clinical practice. The basic requirements that we just touched upon might seem simple, but you cannot assume that your patient have the same technological background and insight as you have. And it is your responsibility to be the link between the technology and your patient and make sure that at least the basic requirements are met before you introduce the technology, and assume that it will bring value to your patient and the collaboration you have about the problem that the patient is facing. In this case, it will be pain. Now, we will take a bit closer look at the technical infrastructure of mobile applications. Now, the technical infrastructure is a big topic, and it takes a lot of technological insight and knowledge to work with the infrastructure of a mobile application. But we will look at it with a little more detail than we previously have. There are three main parts of a mobile application. There is the software, the data collected in the application. There is the hardware, which is the device. It would be the mobile application in this case. And then there are the servers, the back-end function of the entire technology which makes this work. This can be referred to as Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. When we talk about the technical infrastructure of mobile application, we can also refer to the term mobile app architecture. This describes how the system is put together, and this is a system which is put together of different parts. When a developer wants to choose a mobile app's architecture, it involves selecting how the application is organized into different parts or modules. They have to consider how data is saved. They also need to consider how to retrieve this data and set up the user experience for the future users of the mobile applications. You don't have to make the same choices, but you have to make considerations related to this also, especially the user experience, because the user experience is what your patient will meet. And you have to consider if the experience or the front end, which it also can be called, fits your patient. But now let's take a little look at how different parts of a mobile application architecture can look. Here are different parts which elaborate the development of a mobile application. We have the app publishing platform over here. It could be an iOS platform or Android, as you probably know. We have the SDK, the software development kit. It is the software fitted to specific platforms, so the developers work within this software when they want to develop an application aimed at an Android application publishing platform. We have the CDN, the Content Delivery Network. It's a network of servers which speeds up the delivery of the software or the application to the users. We have the application programming interface, the API, which is the key communication platform between the app, the front end, and the back end. And then in the back end, we have a lot of systems working to support all this activity that might be going on in relation to the use of the application. It could be the load balancers, which distributes the load of the traffic which occurs across the application between different servers. We have the object storage, which stores all the data which is put into the application, but in an unstructured format. Then we have the application servers, which is a server that hosts the actual application. And then we have a supportive database server, which hosts the database which is affiliated with the application and also is part of data storage. So there's a lot of moving parts here, which all need to work together to make this application work. This is referred to as a front end and a back end, which meet across an API, an application programming interface. Let's take a look at that. Now, the API, the application programming interface, is the meeting point between the front end and the back end. The front end consists of approximately 20% of the entire architecture of the application. But the front end is also what actually brings a lot of value to the user experience, and it is also what you will be working with when you choose applications for your patients. On the back end part, we have all the supportive systems which makes up approximately 80% of the entire architecture. So what you see is actually a small part, but it's the most important part for you to consider. The remaining 80% of the architecture is the developer's responsibility. There might be small considerations related to your choices based on the back-end content, which relate to data security, which is something that you are going to touch upon later on in this mobile application unit part of the Tech2Match course. Thank you for listening.